What's up, guys? Alpinegremlin again here with some more World of Tanks. Today we're going to be taking a look at the 1375. Now, this is a I guess going to be a short kind of tank review-ish kind of game kind of video. I know that whenever I do these things, I drone on for hours and hours, and nobody really wants to hear me talk for that long. So I'm just going to go ahead and give a quick overview of the vehicle, and then we're going to show some gameplay. I'm not going to do an in-depth tank review, um, but I think you guys will get the gist of how to play this thing. So first off, it's a light tank, tier 7. It's only got 900 hit points. The AMX 1375, it's obviously fast. It's got good camo. Has no armor. But like I said, it doesn't. It's a light tank. It does not use armor to survive. It uses speed and not being detected to stay alive. So, as a light tank, you're generally a scout first and a damage dealer second. However, I find that I can play these tanks very effectively as faux mediums. I might start the game off passive scouting, but I do not do that the entire game. I scout when it's necessary, and I scout at the beginning to find out enemy deployment orders. However, once the battle develops, then that's when I start going hunting. And that's kind of what I think it requires. I think that's kind of what is required to play these kinds of tanks is you need to find openings. These tanks do not do well. The 1375 and the 12T before it and the ELC do not do well against multiple groups of enemies. They do not do well generally when the enemy is expecting them to come around and are ready. What they do excel at is coming from unexpected directions and attacking isolated opponents. When you're looking, you want to be looking at your mini map at all times, and you want to be looking for opportunities to basically get into an enemy's flank or behind them and clip them out. Dump your drum and then run. That really can throw a wrench into what the enemies are trying to do, and you just hunt your opponents one by one by one. Unless you have a good amount of support to back you, you don't want to engage multiple groups of enemies. And so that's kind of what I found works well. Wait for the battle to develop. Once you see an opening, take that opening, engage isolated opponents, fall back, reload, rinse and repeat. And so you could see, the biggest issue with this vehicle is the low damage clip potential. You get light tank matchmaking. This thing can see tier 10s. If you've only got 6 rounds in the magazine and you only have 135 damage per shot, that is not a lot of damage. The average standard rounds only have 144 penetration, 202 with the premium, with the APCR. But in most of the tanks that you're going to be fighting, you're not going to be able to clip out with a single drum. You're going to have to come back for more. And so your best bet is to engage opponents that have already been injured and have lower hit points. Now, obviously that shouldn't deter you from attacking a full health opponent, but you should only attack that full health opponent when you could safely get out of there and get away with that. Otherwise, you're going to be in trouble if you find yourself, oh shit, I'm reloading now. This guy has now turned his attention to me, and he is really going to wreck my shit unless I get away immediately. So, you want to make sure that you can either A, kill the guy, or B, get out of there in a hurry and get away safely. There is a good amount of forward planning involved in playing the 1375, and it's mostly to do with that low magazine. It's to do with that low magazine damage, and the chances are that you're not going to be able to kill things that you attack because the enemies just have too much health for you. So, the 75 millimeter SA50 is the same thing you used on the 12 ton, so it should be a familiar system. Basically, all you get here is a more mobile tank, a faster tank, better gun handling, and more ammo, which is good. So let's take a look at, first of all, my equipment. I have a camouflage net, binocular telescope, so I do set this up as a passive scout because, like I said, I do try to do some of that in the beginning of the game before I go picking on targets. However, for when you know, it's time to go hunting, I run improved ventilation. And so, anyway, and then as for my ammo loadout and consumables, I mean, you guys know how easy it is to get these large repair and first aid kits these days, and these fire extinguishers. So I obviously run that. I have so many saved up in the depot. And as for my ammo loadout, I don't run high explosive. It's just not worth it with such a small caliber gun. I run a half and half loadout of AP to APCR. AP for light tanks and other things that I know I can penetrate pretty easily. And APCR for hardened targets, you know, things like E75s, because these, honestly, these rounds aren't really going to cut it with the side of an E75, the standard. Things like E75s, Object 704s that you know, that you really need that extra little bit of penetration to get through. And honestly, I think it is worth it to load at least 1 or 2 magazines of APCR. You don't necessarily have to load 3 like I do, but you want at least some, I think. So that's that. So I don't want to talk. Oh, well, hang on. Let me just do crew skills. So obviously it's a light tank. You're going to want brothers in arms and camouflage on all these guys. Those are the common ones. I do have repairs because you know, if you get tracked in a light tank, you want to try and get out of there as quickly as possible. The gunner is training in snapshot. The driver is training in smooth ride. And the commander is training in repairs, and then obviously most important commander skill on a light tank is going to be Sixth Sense, because, you know, in a light tank, you're going to, you know, you don't want to find out that you've been spotted by getting shot, because by that time you're probably already dead. All right, so that's that game. I mean, well, that's not that. That's enough of me talking about this thing in the garage. Let's go ahead and take it out for a spin and see how it performs in battle. All right, so the first battle that we're going to take a look at is a Tier 9 game on Lakeville. And so the, you know, this is typical matchmaking for this tank. You're never going to get a Tier 7 game. It's a scout. Get scout matchmaking. But you're going to see that I really play... I'm not a huge fan of the scout role. So you're going to see that I do some passive spotting, but I'm not a huge fan. I honestly play these tanks, as from what I can see, as more of a medium. But so we're going to go ahead and head down to the to a little position that I really like to use on this map. You can see we're coming up on it now. These bushes here are really, really, really good. I think they're really good passive locations. Most tanks like to use this on Lakeville, this middle road here, and albeit it does get some good lights if you can actually get to a position to spot the enemy team. But honestly, I feel like it is a very constricting location, because once you're there, as you can see how the Spare Panzer and the Bulldog are, once you get there, you're able to get shot at by basically everyone, and you end up getting locked down if you get locked there. It effectively takes you out of the game for a while. And you'll see that a lot of scouts tend to die on that road, as well as anybody that goes there. So in my opinion, I think that this is a good position. These bushes here with this tree, or this bush in front of the rocks. Because you can, with a high enough view range, I even take my Leopard 1 to this position when I start from the north. You can get good lights on this road here. And you might not be able to see guys all the way over here that are taking the safe route, like you would if you were able to get here on the road. But it's a much safer alternative for passive spotting. Unfortunately, that Bulldog is making a very aggressive play, and you're going to see I do actually get lit here. There's my Sixth Sense going off, so I book it the hell out of here. You're going to see the fire is going to start to come in. They can't hit the Spare Panzer, but they can hit me. So you can see there. I actually take an APCR round fired by a T-54 to the gun.
All right, so here's
takes
the
out the gun for a while and ends up damaging it.
To score top damage on the team.
So I don't immediately repair the gun in case I take another hit and lose a more important module.
And,
I am running large
damage
premium consumables
3
on this
kills,
tank.
1,545 base experience.
And so
we
I
again
don't want to have
all
to
of our
waste
rounds.
a large repair kit if I don't
we
have
fired
to.
2 stupid shots at the dead corpse of the T-54. but I was just joking around and having fun. We
So I'm
fired
moving up.
32
The bulldog gets
rounds,
lit again.
but
I
only
actually spot him
24
this
of
time,
those actually
and I start
penetrated
putting
again.
some shots
We did
into him.
take
But I
some
unfortunately the
sloppy
gun's
shots.
damaged.
Luckily, we
I
got a
miss him
lucky fire with
completely on the
P75,
first and bounce him on the second,
which helped boost our damage
and so
count
I
a
decided
lot.
to get the hell out of there
And
because I
again,
do get lit.
I
Obviously.
really
And
game
I go for a
was
reload,
not
get
impressive
behind this
at all
house to
in
get
terms of
safe.
scouting.
I
This
decided that,
was
all
me
right, well, if I'm going to be
playing this
engaging
light
targets
tank
at longer
very
distances here, I'm
aggressively,
going to need a fully
very
operational
hungrily,
gun.
as a medium.
Clip is loaded,
and that's just how I seem to play these
so
tanks.
as you can see,
I
the
seem to
bulldog is
have a
dead.
lot of
The
success
Type
with them,
64
and
that
I'm gonna
came
be
with us has been
continuing,
spotted. I put a shot into
the
him
line.
at
like
long
I said,
range.
I'm
I
gonna be
missed the
getting quality
second,
time
but you
into
can
the
see that Type
1390,
gets an
then I'm
absolutely
gonna try to
obliterated,
rain,
and
and
that's
I'm gonna
why
get to the
I
back
prefer to
shot,
stay
and we're
off
gonna
that
see
road.
if what I'm doing now
Because
is
you're
a good
either
thing.
taken out of the game for the
And
majority
this is
of the
cool 'cause
round,
you guys are actually getting
or
to
you just
see,
get destroyed
my
outright. I think it's a
progress,
very high risk location. I think it's
through
an
this
important
line,
position
starting with
in
the
a lot of
ELC.
cases, but you're not going to catch
We've
me
been at the 12 ton, now we're at the
sitting there.
1375, and I'm going to buy the
I just
1390,
feel like
and
it
I'll hopefully
takes
show
you
guys
out
some
of the game
gameplay
where
of
you
that.
could be more effective.
Also,
Even though I
for
do
this
realize
particular
that
battle,
it is
we ended
important
up
to send someone
securing
there,
another
as they
mastery
will get
badge
lights on your
tanker,
team to kind of stop
and
them.
we ended up getting our second mark of excellence, and
But the Spare Panzer is actually doing a decent job. Now here is where I want to illustrate
So overall, very
an
good,
important
very exciting
theme.
game.
So because
And,
I play
I-
these
I'm
tanks
really
as a
enjoying this
more
line as a whole so
aggressive
far.
medium style, if there's
All right,
one thing
guys,
that I've
so
learned that
that's it for
seems to
today.
be
Hope you
a
enjoyed this
recurring
video.
theme with the
Got
French
a nice
tanks,
long one in for you today.
with the French
So, hope you
autoloader
enjoyed
is
this
that
video.
they
Thanks for
really
watching, and I'll
excel
catch you next
against
time.
isolated targets. And the common theme you're going to see in this replay and the next replay I have lined up for you is that this tank likes to stay at range. I mean, not at range. This tank likes to engage targets that have no support. It does not do well against multiple opponents, and it needs to be able to get in and focus one opponent and get the clip off. Now, because in most cases in these games, your targets you aren't going to be able to clip your targets. You're not going to be able to take them out with one magazine. So it's very important that you attack lone isolated enemies. Otherwise, you're going to be caught with your pants down reloaded, and you're going to die. And you're going to see that the T-54 and the IS-6 are alone, but the T-54 has overcommitted. He is now separated from his IS-6. He's been shot by the T-30. I am safe from the IS-6. I'm going to start putting shots into the T-54 because he is now going on a YOLO run through our team. He is completely hopelessly isolated. And honestly, I don't need to really be firing these APCR rounds right now, but it's all I had loaded. I thought I was going to have to be taking him on frontally. That's why I loaded them. But I mean, this guy basically just dies for nothing. If their team was smart, they would have pushed out with him to get shots on us who were responding to him, but he just died for absolutely no reason. You can see the KV-13. I waste some really stupid APCR rounds here trying to shoot at him at this range, and I decide to go ahead and take a reload. That is one thing that I do admit I have to work on, is managing the premium ammo usage. But I think I'm getting a little bit better with it. So here's the thing. So now, here's the situation. Normally, the Valley is one of the biggest pub lanes in the game, if not the biggest pub lane. I mean, the Valley is it bogs down tanks. You can't move as fast. It turns into a shooting corridor. But these guys actually played really aggressively. These mediums and this medium and these lights, and they just wiped the floor with our tanks that went Valley. And ordinarily, this wouldn't be a very threatening location, despite they'll be able to take out our arty. But if we had already pushed into this town and set up positions, then this would have been kind of a fruitless endeavor. And that's why the Valley usually isn't that important. Unfortunately, because we haven't yet taken the town, we are now in a position to get encircled. And so us here, I really need to start pushing some tempo, because the guys with me clearly aren't. So you could see, common theme, that IS-3, to the best of my knowledge, has no support. So we're going to go and clip him out. We're going to go dump the rounds we have, the APCR rounds we have loaded into his rear armor. Now, granted, I don't need the APCR here, but it's what I had loaded. I figured I would be engaging targets at more difficult angles. So it's what I had loaded. I didn't want to waste an additional 15 seconds to load the regular rounds. And thanks to the 800 damage hit by the T-30, I end up killing the IS-3. And now I switch to regular rounds because I see there's a T-54 lightweight which I can easily penetrate. And notice how he has now separated himself from the T-34-3 and the T-71. He is alone. He's going to take a hit from the IS-6. Now is my perfect chance to pound him and clip him out. Comes around the corner. 1, 2, and he's dead. T-54 lightweight out of the fight. I grab a reload because remember the reload isn't too bad on this magazine, only 15 seconds. I take a heat round into my mantlet from the T-34-3, and now I got away with that bounce. Now here's the thing: I could engage this T-34-3, but if you notice, he is not completely isolated. The T-71 is over there with him, and so instead of trying to attack one of these guys and exposing myself to his friend, I'm going to go for this T-29. He's got these two guys distracted. We need to get him out of the fight so that these guys can help here. And honestly, the T-29's only support is the KB-13, which I can avoid by tucking into the town, and possibly artillery, which I could also likely avoid by ducking into the town. The T-29 is a much more isolated and better target for an autoloader such as the 1375. However, this guy's going to get taken out anyway by these two TDs, but it's the thought that counts. So I come around to get the kill shot on the T-29, but the ISU just annihilates him. So this guy is now the situation is looking a lot better than it did. We're still down by one tank, but it's alright. I'm about to pull the scores back because if you'll notice now, these guys are no longer in positions to support each other. They have at least 2 streets between them. They are on different sides. Now this IS-6 is in some trouble. He's a 2-on-1, but these guys cannot directly support each other. They can put fire on the same target, but they cannot assist the other in case they fall under attack. So I've got my regular rounds loaded. I'm going to go for the easier target, the T-71, and I'm going to clip him out real quick. Remove his gun from the game so that I can isolate the 34-3. So I kill him, go for a reload. Now the T-34-3 is alone and he knows that he's in trouble. You can see him starting to back out there, but it's going to be a bit too late for him. The IS-6 starts pushing. Now that I've killed his support, the T-34-3 is now isolated. So I'm going to come around these buildings here. I've been lit, but it's okay. Now the T-34-3 starts pushing on the IS-6. He knows I'm coming to clip him out. He takes a shot. Both tanks exchange rounds. And now I'm going to just put shot after shot into this T-34's ass. I bounce this next shot, but the IS-6 takes this guy out. So now I've reloaded my magazine of APCR because I've only got 4 of them left as opposed to 3 AP rounds. And so I want to have more rounds in the drum. Because I want to maximize the amount of damage I'm putting out. I only get 1 round into this guy, and that's basically the game. He gets taken out by the T-30, and now the only thing that's left is Artie. And I honestly play really, really stupid here. I'm coming up here with the artillery. I don't care if I die. Like at this point, I'm honestly just really selfish and hungry for damage, and it's going to end up costing me. But honestly, there's really no way we could possibly lose this game. We've got all these tanks on the cap. It's just not. Unless we would have to literally attempt to throw this game for our team to lose. So I'm just gonna get whatever damage I can. I get 2 shots into the Su-14-2. I missed the last AP round. I've only got 2 APCR rounds left, and honestly, I should have just killed the Su-14-1 here. But again, I'm selfish and greedy, and I wanted more damage, so I make the stupid play to try and shoot the M40. I hit the first shot, but I missed the second. I'm out of ammo because I'm bad. And so I basically just try to start trolling these guys. I literally could have just run into the valley away from these guys. But I'm just so, I don't know what I was thinking here. It was a stupid play, and it got me killed. And you can see this SU-14 is coming to shotgun me, and I'm dead. That was so stupid. I literally could have done anything to avoid that. And I had plenty of time to do it, but again, too selfish, too greedy, and look what it does. It cost me. Being greedy can really screw you over sometimes. So, but anyway, you know, this IS-6 is going to finish the game. The M43 doesn't even try to aim. He misses completely. The IS-6 doesn't. And this IS-6 is now pushing to push the SU-14 around the corner. The T-30 is going to take him out. And that's the game. Granted, granted, you know, I played really dumb in the end. I was selfish and didn't make good decisions, but I think I made the good decisions in this game, which put us in a position to be stupid. You know, so I put myself into a position to win the game, so I could be stupid afterwards. And so that's, you know, I think I made the decisions where it counted. So anyway, let's take a look at the after action report. All right, so in this game, we're here on Erlenberg. It's another Tier 9 game, and I'm platooned up with my buddy Real Batuze. He's in his T10. And so this game actually starts out to be, this game starts as being kind of a shit show. You could see we have a fail platoon on our team with 2 Tier 5 arties, which should not be in this matchup. The enemy have therefore gotten an additional 2 arty. Both of them are Tier 7. They have 3 Tier 7 arty and 1 Tier 8. We have a Tier 9 and a Tier 7 and 2 Tier 5s. And you can see the Super Pershing, who actually platooned with the guy, ends up team killing him. He automatically goes blue, so you can tell that he definitely does this a lot. And so he doesn't make any sense to me, but okay. So anyway, I'm going to start this game off basically trying to do a passive scouting role, but like the last game, you're going to see I don't actually scout that much. I play more like a medium tank. That's my aggressive play style. That really shows that it seems to be even more so in these light tanks. But you're going to see, though, the same theme that you saw in the last game is going to come back. And so we come up to this hill. We do get an initial light on the T10 because we do have very good view range. And now we do have our regular rounds loaded, so I decide not to take the shot because I'm never going to penetrate him at this distance and at that angle. And so I just go ahead and I move up to the next bush once I realize that it's safe. Now notice, again, I just want to point out, notice how I back up because A, I'll avoid engine shots that way, and B, I can get down faster because I'll be forward instead of having to back up. So this is a good way to kind of operate with your rear-mounted turret anyway. So anyway, you notice here I'm going to make a decision. So coming up here is this theme of attacking isolated targets. Just now I make the decision to go do this. You can see that their Roomba is about to die. But you can see, look at how far up this E50 and this T54 have pushed. And notice how they really haven't spotted much over here. Now, what that tells me is that these guys don't really have any support close by. What are they now? They're isolated. That's exactly what this tank likes. Isolated targets. And so that Roomba's going to die. It's just going to be the Object 704. The arty pops up there. He's going to die. Now, you can see here, I get shot in the back by that same Super Pershing from before, but notice he's been banned now, so he is going to sit there and be useless for the rest of the game. That friendly fire shot took my ammo rack, so that kind of aggravated me, but I go ahead and I reload my APCR rounds for this Object 704 because even side on, the 704 can be a tough customer for these low caliber guns. But he's got 2 mediums and a light tank on him. He is so screwed. The T-54 gets taken out by artillery, but it still got me. But the E-50 and I are still here. Artie is on this guy. He is not going to survive this engagement. I take him out for the kill. Start my reload. You can see the only other support this guy had were the 2 enemy artillery on the other side of the river, and the T-29. Now at this range, I wouldn't be able to penetrate really the T-29 with regular rounds. So I move up to the next bush to get the light, but I'm pretty sure those mediums are going to spot him anyway. So I can penetrate the T-29 pretty easily with the APCR rounds at this range. You can see that dirt round, but now I can penetrate the side of his turret, bounce off his mantlet, and I'm honestly being really kind of liberal and foolish with my APCR rounds right now. I'm taking shots that aren't really going to penetrate, that are bad at long range, and so you know I really shouldn't be wasting these rounds. And so you're going to see I already have 2 rounds loaded. I'm going to take 2 shots at this SP-1C. They do go through, luckily, but I decide now that he's back in cover, I decide to go ahead and start using my standard rounds. Remember, I want to keep those 5 APCR rounds in stock for an emergency situation, so I opt to just pop a standard mag into the drum. And so now I'm ready. I come up. Now notice how the Yag Tiger's there, and notice how I'm positioning myself. I'm positioning myself now so that Yag Tiger is not going to be able to get shots on me because I'm covered from him by the hill. So the T-34-3 is coming around to put one into that SP-1C. I put one into the back of his turret right now, and so that makes him 1 shot for the T-34-3. He's dead, so now I can go ahead and grab a quick reload, and you're going to see I'm gonna try and get a good flank on this Yag Tiger. You can see he's gonna get spotted by those mediums, so I know that he's not looking this way. You can see him over there, coming around behind him, but you can see just as there, I spot the enemy artillery. Lucky for me, I auto-aim him, clip him out, but you can see that Yag Tiger is not stupid. He's a good player. He sees me coming. He has pointed his gun all the way around, and oh shit. But RNG saves me, and I'm able to dodge the shot, and so now I'm going to get around him. Even with my regular rounds, I can easily penetrate the side of a Yag Tiger at this distance. Unfortunately, the 34-3 gets in the way, so I'm only able to get 1 more shot into him before he burns to death. So that Yag Tiger is down. We've basically annihilated everything on their base. The T-44-3 is going to get on their cap, but unfortunately we're now in a bit of an emergency situation. You can see down in the south here, IS-6 is on base, but Tuze is the only tank that's in range to really get on there and effectively reset. This WZ-131 and the M53-55 have their own problems. There's a T-49 and a T-54, both very dangerous tanks. And so these guys have their own problems to worry about. Like I said, our T-43 is going to get on the cap, but there's also an E-75 on Batuze's right flank across the river. That's not good. I need to help Batuze out here. Otherwise, he's not going to be able to effectively get resets. And so this is where that whole concept of isolated targets comes into play. Notice how that E-75 is alone. He does not have support. He's isolated from the rest of his team. Now, his position on Batuze is threatening. That is a good position he has to intercept Batuze from getting a reset. However, I am in a position to really rustle this guy's jimmies and I'm going to be able to catch him completely alone. Now, luckily, I have kept my APCR rounds in reserve. Remember, I have those 5, but you're going to see they are really not effective against this heavily armored German heavy tank. My first shot goes into his rear, but he angles it. I cannot penetrate. These are awful shots I'm taking. I do get around to the rear, but he closes the range. He is not stupid. He knows that I can't penetrate him like at this angle with my regular rounds. Now he swings the gun around, but fires too early. I get around to the front. But now I'm loading my APCR rounds that I had saved for this moment. Now I'm able to get through his armor. And so notice now he's changed targets. He is not stupid. This guy is a good player. He knows to kill the tank on one. He knows to kill the tank that he can one-shot to remove guns out of the game. He also knows that I'm going to have to be reloading, and so that will get me off his back for a while. So if he kills this guy, he knows that he's going to have earned some breathing space. Unfortunately, he's not going to get that chance because this shot sets him on fire. I get one more bounce off of him, but he burns to death. So now I've only got about 5 rounds of regular armor piercing left. However, there's only one tank left. The WZ and the Artie managed to take care of those guys, managed to take care of the T-49, but Tuesday managed to take care of the IS-6 on cap. Only the T-54 is left, and although that's super Pershing team killer, and I'm going to enjoy this justice because that asshole is going to get his repair bill. Luckily, the T-54 kills him before we kill the T-54, so that's a great additional end to the match. But you can see now I'm coming around. He's going to kill the T-26, but I'm going to get my a couple of my mag rounds into him. I get another one into him, and Tuesday finishes him off for the kill. All right, so that was a really exciting game, and that was some very aggressive light tank play, much like what we saw in the Lakeville game. So let's take a look at the after action report.